they were holding on to me. Could have snatched it.
Well, there's another corner. Irish corner for the 10th time. Italy have had one in the game. Hunt. O'Shea tried to flick it, and anywhere will do. McShane descended back. And the flick on finds Noel Hunt, and on it goes to his brother Stephen. Cannavaro out of the middle, and Cannavaro and Hunt go down. It's an Irish free kick.
Well done, Stephen Hunt. I mean, that's great heart and fighting spirit. Fighting Irish spirit right to the end. Brilliant.
So another set piece to conclude the evening. Into the middle they go. 6 in the white of Ireland. Stephen Hunt to take the free kick. Well, they managed to get it away. Quagliarella back with the defence. Rodrighi. Ireland don't want this to end. Stephen Hunt has won it back. Noel Hunt played into his palm out of the middle. Comes Zambrotta. And Noel Hunt brings him down. It's a free kick to Italy.
Well, he's not happy with Noel Hunt's lunge, but I don't think there was any malice intended from the Irishman then. He's just kind of slid in trying to get the block on it, and there's nothing in that. This is it. Look, he's been held. He's been held by Cannavaro, Noel Hunt, and it just prevented him kind of swinging something at it.
Goban is fouled. It's a free kick. A chance to send it long once more. Route 1 brought the equalising goal in the 87th minute, and Shay Gibbon is suggesting that something else is what's required right now. So there it goes towards Folan, and there's the flick on, and then Robbie Keane. Oh! What a winner that would have been.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, again, it's just a kind of a long punt downfield, and Ireland are in again. I mean, Folan does brilliantly to head it on. Superbly read by Robbie Keane. Does he shin it in the end? He does. He shins it. He just doesn't get the contact he wants. I mean, had he got it on the laces, he could well have stolen it.
And there's the final whistle on an historic night. It's the 8th time Italy have played in Bari. They've won every other game. But the brave fighting Irish came to Bari tonight and have put a dent in that record, but much more important, have kept in touch with Italy by depriving Italy of 2 points at home and gaining a point themselves.
Well, an incredible start to the game, and Italy probably will feel aggrieved over the sending off of Pazzini right at the start. But, you know, in going a goal ahead, it was great to see Trapattoni's reaction, proactive. Got Ireland going forward, answered his critics, and I thought it was all there for Ireland. OK, we might have lacked a little guile at times, but the heart, the spirit, the honest endeavour was always in Ireland's play throughout, and that's more than deserved.
But what a chess match that turned out to be. The two gnarled old campaigners, the one who won the World Cup and the other who still holds the upper hand. 7 wins, 4 draws and 2 losses for Giovanni Trapattoni against Marcello Lippi. Maybe Ireland have the man to take them all the way to South Africa. Next up, it's Bulgaria in June. But this very tricky assignment in the south of Italy, where Italy had never failed to win before, has ended all square. Ireland go home with a point. It's Italy 1, Ireland 1. An historic night in Bari.
It certainly is indeed, and time for celebration. A sweaty one, but nonetheless the point is terrific. And this is how the Group 8 table looks after tonight's games. There you see it. Italy with 14 points, so we're 2 points behind with 12. Bulgaria coming up fast on the rails, I suppose, with 7 points. But when you look at that, lads, that was a hugely important point. You can't underestimate it.
No, I mean, that was our World Cup chances on the line, really, yeah. And Robbie Keane saved them. But the Italians collapsed after they scored a goal. And Ireland, as Irish players always do, they had a right go. You couldn't fault the Irish team for courage and persistence, and we really should have won the game on chances.
Yeah, indeed,
at the end. We were steaming at the end, and I think the coach made a couple of crazy decisions. Selection, in the original selection, and subsequently in his substitutions. Taking off Kevin Doyle was lunatic asylum stuff. So don't let's carry away with the great coach. But what I'll tell you, what he has got, all of those players had guts and willingness, and in the end we just about had enough guys to survive, and we could have won the match. It keeps us well in contention. It exposes the Italians. That's the worst Italian side I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Although they had 10 men, they had a goal start, they never passed the ball. They took Pirlo off at half-time, who's a creative player, to put on a defensive midfield player. And what I suppose more than anything it underlines is how fine the lines are at this level, and also that, as Trapattoni said, Lippi is my son. Yeah, I would. So he has the same disease as Trapattoni. It's called negative football syndrome.
Negative football syndrome. Heart, spirit, endeavour. Jim said that's what made the difference to the Irish team tonight and gave him the point.
We said at the start of the game, didn't we, that we know they'll give heart and endeavour, but is that enough to win these international matches? They also showed a little bit tonight that they can play a bit, given space. They had an awful lot of space tonight when the Italians went down to 10 men, and it was okay for Whelan and Andrews to drop off and get on the ball because they weren't being pressured like they were against the Bulgarians. So they've showed they can play given space, but they're not always given space. A lot of other games they showed us that they didn't really have the ability to find space on a pitch that was full in midfield. But it's a great performance at the end of the day.
And very close to a win, in fact. Actually,
Robbie's missed Robbie's chance at the end. It's a great
yeah.
chance, and I said to Eamon, it's not easy to score shinners. You know, come off his shin there.
Practice.
Would you see, John? Now, would you see in that the like the road to Damascus for Trapattoni, and say, okay, we're going to play like this when we go to Bulgaria?
I doubt it. I'd love to say yes, that would be the case. I don't often disagree. I have to disagree with Ronnie there in the players not getting the space in other matches. The fact is that there hasn't been much space, but they haven't looked for it, Bill. Yeah. What the difference was tonight, I think once we lost the goal, as I said before, I keep repeating it, then in Trapattoni's head, look, might as well release the press because we've nothing to lose. So why not? You should learn from that. And like, we all played football when we were kids, and the reason we played football because we enjoyed it. The main enjoyment of football was getting on the ball and trying to be as creative as you possibly could. Now, players, I don't care who they are, wherever they are, want to follow those instincts, right? That's their natural inclination.
So the Irish team would have enjoyed tonight's game immensely.
No, what I'm saying, they do it. That's the natural inclination to do, Bill. It's only the coaches stop it, right? It's the coaches that put fear into the players. I don't want you to do that. If you go up there and you lose it, we're going to be exposed. But what was good about the Irish team tonight, from the first half, right, and it was a reversal of roles, because once Italy scored the goal, I know they were down to 10 men. I think if they hadn't been down to 10 men, they would have done the same thing anyway, Bill, which is to concede the ground once they got in front, and that's what we did on. But so John, we were like Bulgaria tonight, only better.
But can I go back to the point I raised? Can we see a huge change in the way Trapattoni will approach the Bulgarian match? Or will he say that this was an aberration because there were only 10 Italian players and we couldn't possibly be that expansive, as it were, or passing
I think he
that
probably
liberty
will say that, Bill.
Against 11.
Because I think he's 70 years of age now. So he has a philosophy on the game that's not going to change now, in my opinion. Right? I think he will say that. Well, they were down to 10 men, we were going down, so therefore we had to change our approach. Now, that would be the natural reason.
But I mean, would he not have seen that the Irish team was so much better playing like this?
Yeah, but it would know that. I think he would know that as a man of experience. But it's bred into them. I think Lippi does it. I think the Italians do it generally. So I don't think he's going to change. I hope he does. Yeah. And learn and say.
He got away with murder tonight, Bill. After 19 minutes, he took Keogh off and put Folan on. Now, Folan is really not an international footballer, and neither is Keogh, incidentally.
That was the first change he ever made before 77 minutes. You know that?
And then he took Kevin Doyle off in the second half, and he put Noel Hunt on. And, you know, that's illogical. He has Lee Carsley not in the squad, he's got Andy Reid not in the squad. This guy should get down on his hands and knees in the dressing room and thank the players for what they've done for him tonight. Because the spirit they showed proved that we can be competitive at this level against.
But surely that's down to his influence as well. I mean, if we go back to Tony O'Donoghue,
he was like a drunken gambler in a casino, Bill. He was throwing balls. He was throwing chips on the table. Noel Hunt for Kevin Doyle. Are you serious? Yeah. Folan for Keogh. Are you serious?
Well, that's because he wanted a different. He wanted a second.
He didn't know what he
with.
wanted. He was just throwing. He was just throwing the chips on the table.
What are you saying? Panic? Is that what you're saying?
He was just gambling, Bill.
He did start with Keogh, you know, and then he sort of said, "Well, I'm wrong here because I'm taking Keogh off."
It was after 19 minutes. This guy's not a genius, Bill.
No, but if he's a gambler, so is Ferguson. Ferguson often has any gamblers.
But there's no comparison.
Yeah, but that's horses, Bill. That's horses.
I mean, that's a victory. It's a victory for the spirit of the Irish players. And I said it before the match. I said it and I'll always say it. They give you 1,000% when they go on the pitch and they find a way. And if there is a weakness in their opponents, that was a game that Italy lost. 2 points lost for Italy, massive points gained for us. But it shows that if we have belief and we go out with the right team and the right attitude, we can be competitive at this level, which is what I believed at the beginning when the group was drawn. I thought we could top the group because I know this Italian side, it's rubbish. And Cannavaro, who was a great defender, is gone. He gave a penalty. He should have given a penalty away in the last minute. We'll see it later on.
Yeah.
He was, before the goal was scored, Ireland's goal, he was messing around in midfield, should have got a booking, got caught in possession of the ball. They collapsed, Bill. And you see, what we have that they don't have is heart and conviction.
But Jim Beglin made the point. I mean, I'm delighted that we got the point, and it was an awful pity we didn't get 3. But he said we still lack guile and we still lack craft, but we have the other compensations, but we still do not have the guile or the craft.
For all the possession we had in the game, you know, you never really seen a ball played down the side of the centre-back for Doyle to run onto or Keane to run onto. Or we haven't seen an open chance in the game for Ireland. And that was all the possession they had. And that's what Jim means. The guile from a centre midfielder or a winger that's going to get to the byline and chip one on someone's head, we haven't got that still.
But neither is anybody else, Ronnie. This is the point, I think this is the point that Eamon's making. We saw Bulgaria on Saturday. No great shakes. This is Italy topping the group, Bill. They were no great shakes.
They're the world champions.
You know, they might have done better. Obviously, they might have done better with 11 men. We don't know. But certainly, what I saw the video against Montenegro, they were okay, but there were no great shakes. So the Irish team would organised in the way to do, and a slightly better approach, a more liberated team, are as good as any of them.
Yeah, can I ask you a question as well? We've been very critical of the Irish midfield. Did our midfield tonight look finally like an international midfield?
No, Will. He took Andrews off.
Who I thought was playing better than Whelan.
He took Andrews off.
Even if I'm not an expert.
He took Andrews off. Okay, he put Gibson on. Didn't make any difference. The Italians were sitting so deep, we could have played in midfield, even at our age. Isn't that right?
I believe,
John?
yeah.
We just could have passed the ball. Yeah, don't give us all that
They
stuff.
did try and get on the ball. They did try and get on the ball, Bill. But there was so much space there, and that's the only reason for me why they tried to get on the ball, because of the space.
Right. But
we
they were
haven't
looking
seen
for
them
the
do
ball,
it
which they
before.
hadn't been.
We haven't seen them do it. We didn't see them do it against Bulgaria. We haven't seen them do it because they're frightened of getting on it.
I think they are frightened, but you have to go back to Trapattoni. That's why when we lost the goal, Bill, I keep going, they were liberated then, right? And all players, one of the coach's job, or the manager's job for any team, is to liberate the players.
Before the game
starts. In other words, that's your approach to the game, because it's a winning approach. It's not a gamble. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe in gambling in football.
But do you take Eamon's point that Trapattoni was gambling tonight in some of the changes he made, and some of the starts he gave to players?
Well, I think when you put substitutions on, there's an element of gamble. I wouldn't be as harsh on him as Eamon was, because do
you think he's ever seen Noel on play? Do you think he's ever seen Noel on play? Just a minute, I want to ask you a question.
We're back to Miss Hay again, as they were saying the old days.
Do you think he's ever seen Noel on play?
I don't know.
Well,
all right, gentlemen.
I know. He hasn't.
Hang on a second now. We've got the Irish captain, Robbie Keane. He's talking to Tony O'Donoghue.
Robbie, what a fantastic comeback by Ireland, and overall the performance deserved at least a draw.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously they went down to 10 men, and then obviously we conceded a goal, sloppy goal, which was disappointing with 10 men. But you know, sometimes when you're playing against 10 men, sometimes it's harder. You know, full credit to the lads. We kept going, kept working hard. We tried to play sometimes, but you know, sometimes route one is always an option, and that was the case when Caelan came on, and that's where we got to go for.
Did it remind you of Ibaraki and the goal against Germany in the World Cup?
Well, I haven't thought about it, but obviously, I mean, the occasion, because 1-0 down in the last few minutes. Disappointed with the last chance there. Probably should have gone on target, but miskicked it a little bit. But overall, we have to be pleased. You know, even though they came down to 10 men, you know, obviously we dominated the game because we had an extra man. But we showed a lot of character to come back into the game. And as I said, sometimes it's not easy playing against 10 men. And but we kept on, showed a lot of character, and obviously delighted.
They are the world champions, Robbie, in their home patch, and yet if you look at the possession stats, we took the game to them completely. Okay, they were down to 10 men, but we really bossed that game.
Yeah, of course, we bossed the game, and I think they only had one chance. We had a few chances. We obviously, I think we certainly deserved to win the game. But we have to be happy with a point with the situation. Obviously, scoring in the last few minutes is, and hopefully that's a little bit disheartening to them now, and we can carry on then.
Finally, what will it do for the belief in the squad and the belief of the manager?
I think the belief has always been there anyway. I think we've shown that in the last 5 games or so, 6 games, whatever it is. So we're still unbeaten, same as then. So long may that continue.
Congratulations today. Well done.
One of the great cliches, Ronnie, of sport really is it's not easy to play against 10 men.
Yeah, I was just
is it a fact or is it a cliche?
I think the fact of it is that they put more people behind the ball. Instead of wingers getting forward and midfielders getting forward, everybody sits in like the Italians did. And it is very, very difficult, if the players do their jobs properly, to break them down. Yeah. And I was just thinking that when Robbie was talking, when he was asked about playing against 10 men, and you think, how many times have you seen it? When teams come up against 10 men and they cannot break them down. So you've got to give them a lot of credit, the Irish lads tonight, for breaking them down in the end.
I don't go along with that at all. Well, why not start with 10 men?
No. Well, I agree. I have to say, no. I agree with Ronnie. Sometimes it is more difficult to play against 10 men if you don't know how to do it. The way to do it is to use the extra man, and the way to do it is by passing and movement, because you use the extra space you've got. But Ronnie's right. Sometimes, and particularly the Italians, they actually will go right behind the ball.
But you were saying, actually, watching the match live, you were saying they do this all the time, the Italians, that Ireland effectively were playing into their hands.
I told you before the match, Bill, Italians are capable of self-destructing at home and losing to Outer Mongolia. I mean, they are really extraordinary.
They do defend very well. They were defending well up to the last minute.
I think they might have been exhausted, were they?
I know you have to do things right, Eamon, but if you follow the logic and say, well, it's more difficult about 10 men.
It can be, is what we say.
Well, it can be, but I mean, it shouldn't be, because you're down to 10 men. I mean, if you ask the Italians tonight, you say, well, the reason we played like that was because we went down to 10 men. It's like Saturday. Somebody said to me in a match on Saturday, we scored too early. I've heard people say that. In other words, we scored. I mean, how can you score? You can't score too early. Yeah. So you have to apply the logic to it. I mean, if I was playing in the team, I'd rather have a player sent off every match I played in and get them down to 10 men and take my chances on it. Anytime.
You were always a cynic, John. All right, we're going to have to take a break. Don't forget that our competition line is open until 10:15 tonight. And if you have any views or questions, you can get in touch via email on worldcup@RTE.ie. We'll be back with more reaction and analysis to tonight's game afterwards.